Welcome to Tech Talk Nation, talking about the latest tech, industry news, and hot topics. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Visit our website at techtalknation.com.
Good evening and welcome to Tech Talk Nation. I'm your host, Matt Fitzgerald. Apologies for the little late delay here. We had a little bit of technical issue getting the stream working right, but we are all good to go now, and we are happy to be here today. It is a super nice day today, and we have a ton of tech news to get to today. It is going to be a lot of fun, and we are going to have a great show for you today. So today, we have Ryan with us. And Ryan is back after a little hiatus here. You had a project that was coming up, right?
Yes, short-term hiatus to finish senior design projects for school.
Very
It happened.
nice, very nice. And tell the good people, were you making anything interesting?
Mildly. It depends on what you find interesting. Basically, what we were making was just a conveyor belt that can sort packages really quickly.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we are super happy to have you back here, and it is always a lot of fun to have you on the show. And I understand that you have a little bit of a beef with the last couple of episodes that you weren't here for.
I think things have probably been too positive towards Apple. I'm here
Ah,
to write.
alrighty. Well, I am super excited to get into it today. We have a wonderful show for you. We have a bunch of weird and kind of odd tech articles, and it's going to be a lot of fun today. So, our first story today comes from Kansas City, good old Kansas City, Missouri. So, Kansas City Chiefs Sean Culkin became the first NFL player to convert his entire salary to Bitcoin. He converted his entire salary to Bitcoin, and basically said, yeah, he was 27, joined in February, and converted his salary to Bitcoin and played 19 games so far. So that's really interesting to see. I'm not sure what to think about that one. I'm not sure if I'd do
I,
the same thing.
I love it.
You love it?
I love it. I think he's ahead of the curve.
Okay.
Uh, to get into a short sidetrack on economics, just to talk about this for a
Wait,
second.
wait, wait. We got to do our disclaimer before you
Oh
go into
no, no, no!
economic. Oh,
I'm not making advice this time. I'm just talking about economics generally right now.
awesome. We're good for now.
Inflation is this thing where money's not worth as much as it is before. And inflation can go up and down artificially because governments can print money versus cryptocurrencies, which have a set standard. Their inflation rate is always constant. And I believe the current inflation rate of US currency to Bitcoin favors Bitcoin as a lower rate of inflation.
Interesting. I did not know that. Hmm.
So what I'm saying is that's kind of like a way of hedging some of his money against inflation, I imagine.
Okay. And I don't know. I still see the value in all the cryptocurrency and stuff like that. Like I see there's value there. I'd just be very concerned if I have my primary source of income in some form of currency that a government entity can just be like, all right, we're banning that now. Like, all right, bye bye. I know there was something going through India, uh, basically like trying to get rid of crypto. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, so it's kind of I don't want to say unbannable to be honest, but like
Okay,
uh
interesting.
I don't want to say unbannable because China can manage it pretty well because they basically have an intranet versus an internet. So
Yeah,
they
intranet.
have
Yeah.
things facing inwards in China basically, and they have a lot of control without like converting to that. It's really hard to ban these things, but because you have like you can ban exchanges and all that from people, but you have things called decentralized exchanges that you can't really like ban someone from getting to. A lot of the times, there are things that can easily be accessed through Tor or whatnot. So like another like good luck, banning that and everything. But
Right.
Yeah,
It's
you do get places where I think India was considering making it illegal to own it at all.
right, right. Yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago, I believe. Um, but basically, yeah, I I mean, for me at least, I see the value, I see everything. I just don't think crypto is mature enough yet to where I would want my bajillion-dollar salary that I'm sure a pro football player is making going directly into Bitcoin rather than like US dollars that I could put in actual trusted bank.
Uh, I mean, I don't know about that. Bitcoin is fairly mature. You can buy tons of stuff with it through PayPal at this point and
Oh yeah, that's
other
right.
things.
Yeah.
You use PayPal, Cash App. There's a lot of different services that you can just completely do all your business in Bitcoin if you so please. You have, Tesla buying, I forget how much Bitcoin, like 20 or 30 million or something.
Yeah, like
Might have been,
a
I
lot.
can't remember. Yeah.
I thought they
So,
said
like,
$27 million somewhere, unless that's what they
uh,
made off of the interest of it.
so far they might have, because it's going up and up. But yeah, Bitcoin seems probably plenty mature. Ethereum's probably right on Bitcoin's tail for being mature enough to handle that. Like,
Okay. I
I
mean,
don't know. I think it's a clever decision. I don't know if I'd do 100% the way he did. Uh,
yeah, I could see like
he's the
50-50, but
he's the first one to go all in on it. But I think it's a year and a half ago now. So this says 12/30/2020. So for that season, one of the Carolina Panthers players took half of his salary in Bitcoin.
okay. Hmm.
And just based off the prices, then Bitcoin was hovering at I think 22,000 then a Bitcoin. So he has already made probably it looks like 6.5+ million in since 12/30/2020. So what is that? 6 months about? He's made 6 million off that already, and he's just a random offensive tackle.
What? What?
Yeah.
Uh,
So his
okay.
salary was 13 million. He put half of it in Bitcoin, and he's already made six
Jeez.
million off of it in 6 months. So
Jeez. Talk about your ROI right there. But jeez, that is ridiculous. I
but
mean,
yeah, at the same time, like it was, I think this last week or two while I was gone. So I don't know how much crypto talk happened, but I mean, people were worried for a little bit because it looked like Bitcoin was kind of taking a spill. It's since bounced back, recovered. I think it's up above 60 again.
mhm.
Last I checked, what that was yesterday, so who knows?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, even if, like let's say Bitcoin takes a huge tumble, I think this is wild speculation. Don't take my advice on this one.
There it is.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm guessing the new floor for Bitcoin is around like 25K. The new
Okay.
floor. So when because eventually it will drop again. That's just what happens.
Right.
I assume when it drops, it's going to settle around 25K. That's my guess.
Interesting.
When that is, no clue.
Who knows?
But
Well,
yeah, I like it. To sum it up, I like it. I think it's a interesting idea. I don't know if I'd go 100% on it like he did, though.
yeah, that's my only reservation. Like I'm fine taking a little bit, maybe the stuff that I would consider play money, but like not necessarily like the
I'd
yeah.
go 50 to 75% on it.
Really? Okay. Like for me at least, I would be like, all right, I'll take like maybe 30-40%. Like the stuff that I can either spend on cool stuff or put away and save or put in
I mean,
investments. So,
yeah, 2 seconds, though. Like, what's his yearly salary?
who Sean Culkin?
Yeah.
Let's see. Sean Culkin salary. Um $920,000.
Mm. Okay, so he's actually taking more of a risk then than some of the other players who get paid a lot more.
I mean, it's still $920,000. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not dismissing that, but what's it? A quarterback gets paid, what is it, 60 million? If they're really good.
Something ridiculous. I forget what Drew Brees made, but he was making
Yeah,
a lot before he
yeah.
called it quits. So, but jeez, uh, that is insane. Just insane to me though. Like I said, I could see going into like your play money, you can investment, do whatever you want with it. It's just like I'd rather have at least some of it in a currency in which I will wake up and not realize I lost 20 grand overnight, just because. So,
Oh man, I've lost in the last 2 weeks, man. I've lost like 20% of my portfolio and got it all back already. You just at a certain point, you just throw your hands up in the air and just say, "I'm here for the ride."
that's a good way of putting it. If you accept the risk, roll with the punches.
As we say in the crypto world, hodl, hold on for dear life.
Very nice. Speaking about holding on for dear life, uh, I had to get that. I had to go straight into this.
I
Okay,
love it.
speaking of holding on to dear life, SpaceX Crew 1, the astronauts returned to Earth in a rare nighttime splashdown this morning, actually. They returned at like 3:30 or yeah, just before 3 a.m. Eastern time. And off the coast of Florida in the Gulf. And basically, this is the first time there has been a nighttime U.S. splashdown since Apollo 8 in 1968. That is just super cool to think about. And I I'm excited. I'm excited for what this can bring to just have these crew members return back, similar to how it was back in the day when we were sending people to the moon. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, come on, Elon. Moonbase when?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll make a sketch about that when he hosts SNL. Who knows? But
Oh, there's got to be a Mars base like sketch at some point.
it has to be. Uh,
What did he want to call it? Starlink, Texas.
what
That's where he wants to name. Isn't that what he wants to name the city? No, not Starlink. Is it Starbase? What was it?
I thought it was no the yeah, he wants to name it Starbase, I believe, or
Yeah, Starbase,
Spaceport.
Texas.
Spaceport, I think.
I thought it was Starbase. Hold on, Elon. This is important. Hold
This,
on.
this is very important to the discussion of this article.
I mean, it's Elon. I'm happy to talk about it. Starbase.
Starbase, you were right.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
From thence to Mars and hence the stars.
Nice. But
Uh
yeah, basically it's gonna be uh uh it's gonna
back
be
to the
cool to see.
important
Yeah,
matter.
it's gonna be super cool to see what's going on. And I found this kind of funny. Later in the article, they say, "We welcome you back to planet Earth. Thanks for flying SpaceX." and and
Yeah, I
that
think it said two JAXA, one NASA, so that's two American astronauts, two Japanese.
right.
Oh
And
no, it looks three. Sorry, three NASA, one JAXA.
yep, that may have been the next one. Uh, but the funnier part after they touch down is they say thank you for flying SpaceX. Then Mission Control goes, for those of you enrolled in our frequent flyer program, you've earned 68 million miles on this voyage. And then Mike Hopkins goes, we'll take those miles. Are they transferable?
Oh, I love it.
That is so fun. I mean, that's the thing I like about stuff like this. It's like just have fun with it. Like it's the thing I like about space and science in general is people working together. People are just trying to do good. And
Yeah,
it's like with the space stuff, how could you not be excited over that? Like we sent people to a thing in space and got them back in one piece. Like that's
yeah.
freaking cool.
Grab a bunch of explosives to a giant hunk of metal and just launch some people into the sky. I mean,
Yeah,
it's what.
my old roommate back in school, he used to joke with all of the aeronautical engineers that we worked with. He said he was a nuclear engineer, and he goes, "You guys just make the leaky bombs." But
being you is your reactors are meant to leak.
Yeah, you guys just make the things that are supposed to leak. And yeah, but
Your
it's
projects are supposed to explode. Mine doesn't.
right. It is super super cool to see this though. They were up there
Uh,
for 167 days, and it was the longest crew launching from the U.S. Since 1974, breaking that previous record by 84 days. So very cool. So
yeah, it's from what I understand, working there is like you're working so hard so much of the time, but in the end, it's kind of worth it just because. I mean, clearly they have a sense of humor.
right.
Even if work is really intense and difficult.
Yeah, I mean, like you gotta have fun with it. What's life without a little
Yeah.
comedy? It's just
Yeah.
boring. But it's cool. I mean, they're using voice chat and all that stuff for all of the radioing back and forth. But they aren't recording that technically. I mean, they are, of course. But how about your voice chats during games? You want those recorded? You want to have that recorded in games? Well,
Big Brother.
the next article we got for you today is Riot Games is going to be recording Valorant voice chats and a review for harassment and hate speech. Long story short, basically they've updated their privacy terms of service to say they can now record and potentially review voice chats of players who are using Riot-owned voice comms channel. So basically saying that they're trying to do this to like just see what's going on and everything like that. It says even though the legal document gives us the ability to capture voice data, League of Legends, Wild Rift, and Team Flight Tactics currently have no plans to record player voice chat or expand the voice chat capabilities beyond party voice chat. And long story short, basically they're just going to say when somebody reports an issue, they're going to evaluate and examine whether behavior agreements are violated and stuff like that, and then they'll delete the voice chat afterwards and discipline the player however they see fit. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. This is interesting. How about you, Ryan?
I give it 6 months before they're selling your voice chats to some company somewhere. Just as a
Okay.
further way to monetize their game. That's my
I
guess.
mean, I could see that. I understand why they'd want to do it though, just from a point of making sure everybody's safe, making sure the online community doesn't become toxic or hateful, and why you'd want to have the evidence to discipline a
Listen,
player. But at the same time, this opens up the gates, like you said. Where's that next step heading?
I think generally all it ever accomplishes is just people getting more creative with how they insult people. I think that's really all it accomplishes. Like
I still remember the days of what Club
Modern Warfare
Penguin.
2 and Halo 3.
Oh,
If you're talking about voice chats,
oh, I meant like even text chats. Like back in
text
text
chats
chats
are,
days,
yeah,
you couldn't even like the things designed for kids and stuff like that, like Club Penguin and stuff. They'd like blur out the word that you couldn't use,
there's
and
been
you'd have to like
memes on.
backspace, and you couldn't send the message. But it's not necessarily the same in a voice chat. You can't really patrol it as much. But people became really, really, really creative in how they'd insult people in Club
How
Penguin. Exactly. Yeah. How you'd insult people. So
yeah. I mean, anytime you include a voice chat, like, listen, people are going to just be mean to each other. That's what happens. It's a voice chat. People are going to be toxic and mean. It's competitive environment voice chat. Like, I remember the days of Modern Warfare 2 and Halo 3. Like, it was a cesspool. There's no other way to word it.
I mean, I also feel like if you're joining a voice chat at this day and age, you should at least be conscious of like, hey, don't be a jerk. And Big Brother is probably watching me somehow.
Should and are people going to are very different statements. People
Very
aren't going to
true.
it.
Yeah.
You're entering into a competitive environment where people are going to just be toxic and flame people and find new ways to insult people. It's in a voice chat, it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah,
But
I
that's
could.
why these words exist.
Yeah,
Is like I don't want to deal with all of these toxic people. We're muting everyone. I'm done here.
right, right.
Yeah, text chat's a lot easier to resolve because you can literally just have banned word lists and just auto ban people for using.
Not or like they had just unable to send the message until you remove whatever's offending. So
Yeah,
yeah. Ah, cool. Well, moving on to our next topic here. Our next topic we got is about Cisco. They're saying a computer chip shortage could last 6 months. Basically, long story short, because of the pandemic, firms are making fancier computer chips that are higher margin because they can't make as many, and it's screwing over companies like Cisco that need lower quality chips that aren't as complex, like your standard microprocessors and stuff like that, to actually create the compute that runs the rest of the world. It's just completely crazy. They talk about TSMC, like there's all sorts of supply chain issues that are coming out of the pandemic that we're just starting to see, and the biggest um, like splash in that, in my opinion, is the computer chip shortage that's currently happening. It's going to be
yeah,
interesting to see what happens here.
yeah. Even like the pricey uh chips that like GPUs and CPUs and all that are still that price is still going up and up. Has been for a little while. I still think to get like a GPU right now, you're paying $300 or something over retail price or something.
Right.
Yeah, that's to say nothing of the fact that like routers, switches, and all that, they need all that as well. And it's hard to make it and replace those parts of the internet infrastructure if all the money is going towards the like pricier applications like phones and whatnot.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people don't really realize, like, hey, this is what actually runs the internet. Like your phone is just a means to access everything else. But all this very big enterprise gear, all this these servers and stuff like this really need the compute power more than your phone, because they're
Mhm.
actually doing the computation to get you said data. All your phone is doing is just displaying it nice for you. So,
Yeah, that's the same thing of like everything else that we've shoved computers in. I can't remember the name of, or the car manufacturer who it was, but I remember talking to them. It was like, oh yeah, this car plant had to basically suspend production because they
it
couldn't
was
get
Ford,
enough
I think.
support. It might have been.
I
It
know they
was
did
they
that in
couldn't
the
get
south side of Chicago.
that might have been it. They just couldn't get enough chips, so they couldn't put out their cars because they don't have the computers to run them.
Like honestly,
It's
it's insane because we're seeing this trickle down, and there's just a lot of issues that have come out of the pandemic in terms of the supply chain, in terms of what's going on, in terms of all of the different ways in which these companies are doing business. Like, if I don't necessarily fault a person in charge of like TSMC or any of these really big semiconductor manufacturers, like, hey, I could pay the same amount of workers and I could use maybe a little more time and I could make triple the profit during this weird time, or I could just have business as normal and just do our normal thing. I mean, I
yeah.
understand why they'd make that decision, but when you have these large manufacturers basically all collectively doing that, it causes an issue.
I mean, to flex more of my economic chops. Supply and demand. Demand's really high right now, so
Right.
how much can you supply? And then this would be a time for other companies, say, I don't know, TI or something, to say, oh, we have an opening here to like open a new place or like step up production. And like we can make a lot of money by making these lower end chips and, selling them to everybody.
Right.
Granted, I don't know how long it takes to tool a factory and create that. It might be too long. I don't know.
I simply don't know. I mean, my VSLC design isn't too great here, but all I do know is your clean rooms can be pretty quickly configured to make whatever you need to make because the silicon and basically the number of processes you go through
Yeah.
to make
I
X
mean,
thing.
just to expand and open a new like factory, basically at this point.
Oh, okay. So like actually
Because
making the real thing. Okay.
yeah, well, I mean, with demand so high and supply so low, you can charge, extra over what you'd norm or what the pre-pandemic price would have been.
It does say that TSMC is going to be spending $100 billion to expand their capacity over the next 3 years in this article. So they're
I
trying.
mean, regardless of that, I mean, they also have, I think, let's see, a contract with Apple for their next set of chips, I believe, a contract with AMD for their next processor and GPU. Nvidia, I think, got split between like two different places because they didn't have the capacity, they were saying.
I think so, yeah.
I might be operating on a little bit old information here. I can't remember when I was reading about this. But yeah, to say that is demand is very high right now, and odds are it isn't going down. We're not going to stop shoving computers and things.
Right. Right. It's just interesting because you have these companies that are designing the chips that are doing the actual design work, and that's gone on fine during the pandemic because the human resources and these teams are still able to work remotely. It's just the
Yeah,
actual manufacture of these chips, getting the resources, getting the silicon, getting the water, getting the chemicals, getting all the
yeah.
stuff that you need to make said chips just isn't happening. And that's the problem. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't remember. I think we had to put in a rush order. I had to create a what do you call it? PCB.
mhm,
Uh,
the circuit
I
board,
think
yeah.
we had to rush the order, and we still ordered it like 3 months in advance of when we actually needed it because we were worried, like, oh, everyone's capacity is kind of filled up. We need to do this quick.
Right. Yeah, I definitely understand that. And with Cisco having these issues, they're the first big tech that I've seen on the more enterprise side to actually say this, rather than your like Ford where they have the cars, or like Apple, or just the normal complaints from everybody else. But if this hits the enterprise market, I feel like this is going to be very detrimental. I just don't. I feel bad for all the techs out there that have to support all the old, like an old Cisco switch that people would have to fire up, rather than just not have a switch. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and its process isn't helped by like a huge expansion in e-commerce during the pandemic and all that. Like,
right,
it's oh, it's a lot.
right. And speaking of e-commerce and online stuff during the pandemic, another thing that has been on the rise is ransomware. Ransomware has been on the rise. This article from BBC here basically is a little bit of an op-ed on how uh, all of the ransomware and other viruses are hitting all of these bigger targets now, just because people are able to do it. Like, um,
Oh yeah,
people are able to just bring companies down completely using ransomware and keeping the way that's just preventing them from doing business, which is insane. So, um, basically, I have to update that. There we go. But
yes.
anyway, just bringing their businesses down completely. So I I am actually very knowledgeable in this. I work a lot with ransomware and helping companies recover from that. So it's interesting to see that this is becoming a bigger trend, uh, and these companies are just getting screwed, which is a real big shame. What's your thought on that?
I mean, yeah, it definitely is. Like, honestly, sometimes I think the only reason like our power, like the power grids, don't get hacked all the time is just because no one wants to learn Cobalt, the programming language.
Yeah.
because that's what
No
everything's
COBOL.
written in.
Yep.
But yeah, the crazy thing about ransomware too is like it's not even a lot of the times it's human error based, not computer error based. Like it's getting through someone's passwords and all that they shouldn't have. It's someone getting phished and then escalating privileges. They can lock down a system and hold it ransom. Like
Exactly. And
it's
that's a
yeah,
really good point too. In a lot of cases, it's a human error. Like you could build a fort all you want, but if there's a hole right in the wall over there, somebody's going to be able to get in.
more like if someone just left their keys on the front lawn.
That too, yeah. They left the key to the gate on the front lawn and said,
It's like
"Watch these for 5 minutes."
some programmer has toiled and labored over this system, made sure like you can't execute overflow attacks or all these other different attacks to try and get in brute force, and then someone lets a password slip, they get access to something they shouldn't have, and sooner or later you get ransomed.
Exactly. And the really interesting thing about ransomware in general too is how it spreads. It's a virus. That's what it is. As soon as you break down that firewall, you break that entry into an organization, you then have access to their internal network. And their internal network, the, people generally don't really secure the internal network as much as coming from the outside. So, you could just move computer to computer, crypt this, crypt that. Like you can take down entire large corporations. That's what happens when in this um article here. Granted, this is the BBC, so this is over the pond, and they said they had a cyber attack on the town of Hackney, and that basically just brought them all to a stop. And it's it's crazy. It really is crazy how much we rely on this, and when it doesn't work and it's encrypted and we lose all the access to that, how much it cripples your business.
Yeah.
So,
It, yeah, it's a rough issue
this is my
to
my word of
say the
warning.
least.
Take a backup. Like just take a backup right now.
Also, like, I mean, it is hard because like it's a human error thing, and like they get in and they might get in low, but then as soon as they can trick basically anyone who has any sort of like basically what do you call it, admin privileges, more or less. It's it's the beginning of the end. Now they can just basically get into anyone's thing and just shut you down.
Right. Right. Crazy. It is really, really crazy to think about.
At this point, I'd imagine like every company who's serious about like we have an online branch and we need to make sure we're not going to get ransomed, like you need phishing classes every like probably every month.
That's what a lot of companies are doing now. They're sending
Yeah.
you basically phishing tests in your
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
email,
yeah.
and you have to report it as a phish, or if you click on the link, either way, like if you don't report it as a phish or you click on the link, you get to go to class and learn about what a phishing email is and why not to click a phishing email.
I got that. I think when I was working at North Carolina State, uh, I don't think I didn't click on the link, but I also didn't report it. Was what happened for me. But I don't know if we had to report it.
Yeah, I mean, I get phishing attempts all the time. I just leave them, or
Oh, I
or I
get
s-
three at this point. I'm getting two a day.
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's really getting out of
It's
hand. Jeez. Anyway, our next article we got for you today is about the Notre Dame Cathedral restoration. This is an article from the Engineering News Record. Basically, they're going to be using 3D models and mock ups to join the way they're currently working on restoration for the Notre Dame Cathedral here, basically utilizing um, a 3D survey and a 3D model and anything to help categorize the parts that they could salvage and where everything's supposed to go back to. And this is crazy to see that this technology will assist in something so catastrophic. It
Mhm.
burned down almost 2 years ago, and or 2 years. It says 2 years in the article here, and that is absolutely insane to think about for me at least. And I just love seeing technology helping out with something like this too.
Yeah, I've recently started to get into like 3D modeling and like CAD and all that. So seeing what they've managed to build here is crazy to me. Especially like I think it said it took them they've collected the data over years in order to like build something this exact. It's really cool.
Yeah, and the cool, right, like this is basically a engineering mock-up of the cathedral as is that they didn't have the plans for. So
Yeah,
like, and the beauty of CAD and everything like that is you should in theory be able to generate a drawing of any given area based
yeah,
on what if it's to scale, you can just generate a drawing, which is insane. So like if they don't know how this worked, they could just be like, all right, select create drawing. And obviously it's a little more complex than that, but the ability to just even use this to cross check would be really helpful.
yeah. And since this is Autodesk too, I believe they should be able to do even like physics simulations and all that to make sure it probably won't everything structurally sound as well.
Yeah, definitely. They got Fusion 360 there and Inventor, a couple of their programs. They do a lot of cloud simulations and stuff like that. My old roommate was doing that for his design project on like the high temperature stress on metals and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what comes out of this and see what goes on. I mean, we're in the middle of this restoration. It says it's $200 million so far
Oh yeah.
to restore it. 40,000 twisted and partially melted scaffolding tubes had been cut away. The Great Organ with its 8,000 pipes left the site, and then they just tried to stabilize the structure, and now they just cut down 1,000 trees to build the top bit, the roof.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the pews.
No, 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 no. It says 1,000 oak trees have been procured to rebuild the roof, and after much debate, the decision was made last summer to replicate the 19th century spire rather than erect a modern structure. So,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, same. But I,
Did we ever learn how that fire started?
it
Just
was
a quick side note.
I'm pretty sure they said it was due to the construction repairs leaving a heater on.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
Let me.
man,
I need to
I hate
confirm
that.
this.
Yeah, I hate that because that's. I mean, that building is just beautiful.
Right.
You
Religious
just
or
hate to
not,
watch a piece of
it's yeah. Religious or
hate to
not, it's
watch
a
a piece
world
of
wonder.
history again.
Hmm.
Yeah, you just don't want to watch a piece of
Oh,
history burn.
I stand corrected. And it said it was an electrical short. I stand
Oof.
corrected. Uh, where is it? It says. Da, 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 da. Crew to keep the. Um, On 15th April 2009, an electrical short was likely the spark for a blaze that threatened to burn the 850-year-old cathedral. Huh. It says I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we can see. Cause of the fire. Huh, there's an article from ArtNet here for 2020 that says 1 year after the fire, the cause of the devastating blaze remains shrouded in mystery.
Hmm.
Weird.
I think we still might not know.
I
Anyway,
I heard it was something to do with the construction that was going on from what I could hear what I've
that could
heard.
have. I don't know. It's hard to tell what's like a probable theory and what's like what
Hmm.
actually happened because it's really hard to say. Regardless, they're doing good work.
Yeah,
I'm happy it's
definitely.
getting.
Definitely. Well, the next thing that we got going on here, this is actually going to be an interesting topic, and I want to hear your opinion on this. Uh, the Let me go here. The first ever U.S. release of genetically modified mosquitoes began in the Florida Keys, and this is from CNN. Thank you for the article. Basically, long story short, they're releasing mosquitoes that that are going to basically not be able to reproduce. So like there's a lot of outcry, a lot of protest. People aren't sure if it's a good idea and how it's going to do it. Proponents of the article and everything basically are like, hey, this is going to help control disease like West Nile virus and other mosquito transmitted disease. Uh, but it's I don't know. I don't know how I feel on that. I haven't. I'm not super familiar with this article, um, but basically, what I've that's what it says. It says the kill switch is triggered in the larval stage of the female's growth, well before hatching and growing large enough to bite and spread disease. So basically, they die before they're able to spread disease. So yeah,
Yeah,
they
to my knowledge, mosquitoes are kind of like I don't know how many things eat mosquitoes or not. I think it's very few things eat them. They mostly are just parasitic.
I'm pretty sure a fair bit of the life down there eats mosquitoes. Let me check.
I'd have. I'm not quite sure. I know mosquitoes are just generally seen as just terrible,
Let's
but
see. It says here, Orkin, an article from them. What eats mosquitoes? Bats, birds, fish, frogs, turtles, dragonflies, damselflies, and other mosquitoes and spiders.
yeah. So I
So
do have some concerns there. But on the other hand, I am well aware that like I'm pretty sure even in like the last few decades, mosquitoes have killed more people than like people have ever killed people.
I mean, in my opinion,
I might be going way over, but I think it's in the millions per year by spreading disease.
I believe so, and that's much more common in areas that are outside of the U.S. Um,
True.
but I
Happens a
my
lot in the US too.
yes, my opinion. Thank goodness. I hope they're all no more. I absolutely hate mosquitoes. Every single time I go outside, I swear I get like 4 mosquito bites, and the little dynamic things are getting smarter. They're like biting me on my ankle so I don't feel it. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh, why is my ankle swollen? And I see I have like 40 mosquito bites. Yippee.
I get it. There's caveats to that. Uh, I know here in Indiana, there's a kind of carp I think that came from Japan,
Now,
and like it got out somehow, and it is just a scourge on
the
like
Asian
everything
carp.
basically. Yeah, it's to the point
Yeah.
where if you go fishing and you catch a carp, you are legally required to kill it.
Yeah.
Like no joke, you are required to kill it, and that's it. Like
They do
they're
that
that
with
bad.
a couple other fish too. Like I think it's like the spotted goby or something like that too.
Yeah,
And you literally cannot throw it back. So we always get a kick of whenever we get one of those, we just throw it up and we try and see if a seagull can catch it. So
yeah. And then another example is I've lived in North Carolina. We have a vine called kudzu out there
mhm.
that just chokes out and kills all the local wildlife. It's another just scourge on things. So that's kind of where my concern is coming here is depending on how this affects things, what's going to happen. If it's only going to like choke out other mosquitoes, okay, fine. Like they're mosquitoes, they're if it's literally mostly just going to replace other mosquitoes, that's kind of okay with me. I kind of hate them. I think everyone kind of hates them. But
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. We also don't know what's the deal. I don't know. We don't know how it's overall going to affect the mosquitoes population, whether it might backfire or something. Like it's hard to say.
right. And it's going to be interesting too because it says it was approved in May 2020 and approved the release of up to 750 million genetically altered mosquitoes in 2021 and 2022. I don't know if that's a lot. I don't know if that's a little. I don't know what those numbers are per se, but that seems like a lot to me. And they go on to basically say how they're expecting this to help eradicate viruses like Zika, and other things that kind of been around, but not necessarily as prevalent as during the past.
Yeah.
It says in reality, the 2021 release will include far fewer than the 750 million approved, said Nathan Rose, who heads regulatory affairs for Oxitec, the people who made the mosquitoes. And it says in the initial stage, 144,000 male mosquitoes will be released in a 3-month pilot period, in which they'll do additional testing to see that they're mating with females in the wild and reducing the population as they planned. So, but
Yeah.
I like to see that. I want to see the results of that.
I had like I said, I have concerns about things backfiring and whatnot, just because you are playing with things that you need to be cautious with. If this would backfire and you somehow end up with more mosquitoes somehow, like that's an issue.
Right. Or you mess with some gene that does their ability to reproduce and the like the itchiness of their venom or something like that. Like that's two very different outcomes, and
Yeah,
you don't know. I mean, I don't want any of those like horror films where you just have like mutant animals just
I'm
going
not going
rogue.
that crazy with it, but
There's a group in
you
Florida
you
that
can
says
you can have secondary things that are affected that you weren't anticipating.
right, like basically when they reintroduced like wolves to Yellowstone, basically it pushed all the deer out and reduced the deer population, which is what they wanted, but it also brought back like a ton more wildlife and their different plants that had been out of that region.
Yeah,
So like that's a secondary side effect. You don't know what that's going to be when you start messing with it.
yeah, that's secondary. And then what are those new plants gonna bring back as well? Would be like a tertiary thing, like
Like, oh, this animal eats
it's a
this plant. Yeah.
it's a food chain because every link in the chain is affected.
Right. Right.
That being said, don't like mosquitoes. They spread disease a bunch. You can get what is it, Zika? I don't remember if you can get Chagas from
Zika,
mosquito. There's a
yellow
ton of
fever,
stuff though.
West Nile virus, dung fever.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
there's a lot of bad things that come from,
plus they
and they
make me
can.
itchy, so they can go
Yeah.
straight down to you know what. So, alrighty. Well, the next article you have, Ryan, this is going to be our introduction here to the last bit of our discussion today. And
Mm.
Ryan, you sent in this article. Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
this was
Yeah,
about mirroring your iPhone front camera to take better selfies in iOS 14.
yeah. So this one was just. This isn't going to be me being really negative. It's just I thought it was interesting because I can talk about kind of a weird situation that people forget about. When you take a selfie on your phone, that's not what people see when they look at you. It's mirrored what people see when you look at you. So it's like what you see when you look in the mirror is what you see when you take a selfie as well. So like by implementing this, where they're gonna mirror the selfie after it's been mirrored because cameras use mirrors.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where, yeah, who if they see you the right way, like for all I know, you could have been pushing out your good side, and that wasn't really your good side. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, one of the other interesting things is it's one of the reasons, or you might not. Sorry, let me rephrase this. You probably would think you'd look weird when they do that mirroring effect because you've never seen yourself not mirrored,
Right.
but everyone else sees you not mirrored. So, like to other people, it probably looks better, but to yourself, it probably you think it'd look weird or like not like you, which is just
Right.
an interesting just on eyes being a thing.
Right.
I
But
just thought that was interesting and cool because by flipping it, technically, people will probably like find your photo more representative of you and probably more attractive and whatnot as well.
hey, I'm all for that. There you
Yeah,
go.
just cool. So Apple, good job on that one.
Good job on that one. On to the
You
next
for
one. Not so good job on this one. Apple just got charged in the EU over anti competitive app policies. And in the US, they call this antitrust. In the US, they call it anti competitive. It says the European Commission antitrust regulator Margrethe Vestager, I'm so sorry for butchering your name, created that consumers are losing out. Basically, claim that Apple is having a stronghold on the music and app industry, and they are completely dominating the industry and are violating antitrust laws with they're distorting competition in the market, and raising the costs of competing music streaming apps, and basically they're saying like Apple is in breach of EU competition law. So I don't know. I think they're right here, in my opinion, because you can't have by and large like the dystopian movie Wall-E there controlling everything you do. And in this case, Apple is controlling everything you do with apps. Like
yes.
you could sideload an app, but they're going to send you like 40 pop-ups that say don't do this, and you are going to void your warranty. So
Oh, you can't sideload the app without basically putting a completely new version of their operating system on your phone.
a
And they hate that. They've been trying to stop that for a long time, I'm pretty sure.
mhm.
Jailbreaking, as we say. Uh, I kind of like it because it is. I don't like it. I don't like Apple that much for. Well, this is one of the reasons. Is you cannot get an app onto an iPhone without jailbreaking the iPhone. Obviously, the only way to get the apps on there is through the App Store. So you're kind of just stuck. So let's say I don't think this is going to happen, but let's say tomorrow said, we're probably missing out on a lot of money by Spotify existing when they could be paying for Apple Music. So let's find an excuse to ban Spotify, and and they can make up some excuse you're in breach of this policy of our App Store, ban Spotify, and then all of a sudden, what are you going to do? Apple's market share on phones is in Europe, I guess 60s. I have to Google the exact number. Uh,
uh, you bring
but
up a really good point there. Basic,
yeah,
basically, if they hold the keys to the kingdom and they're not going to let you in, and they make a product that directly competes with your product, what are people going to do? They're literally restricting you from being able to um, do your main business process. But then
yeah.
again, that also begs the question: what's a better solution? Would you want like government run app stores? I mean, I feel like that would be a lot worse, but it
No,
would at least be
I
free.
I think you should at the very least be able to get apps from outside of Apple.
Okay.
I'm fine with them throwing a warning that says like, "Hey, this might be unsafe. We haven't looked at this." I'm fine with that.
So
Like
basically,
that.
installing Joe Schmo's App Store alongside the Apple App Store, and then basically
Yeah,
Joe Schmo's App Store being like, "Hey, this is the gateway to all these other apps." That's kind of what happens on Android. You have the
that
Google
is what
Play.
happens on
Yeah, you
Android.
have the Google Play Store. You
Amazon's
have
App Store.
mhm.
There's some other ones you can grab.
Yeah, there's like a Play something I used in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a bunch of marketplaces where you can consume this content. They're all going to give you that APK file that you could install. With Apple, it is so locked down to where you can't grab I forget the file name. I want to say it's like an IPK or something. The path.
APK.
Okay, yeah, that's Android's. Is it? I don't think it's an APK on iOS.
Oh, are you talking about iOS?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's like an IPK or something like that. But either way, grabbing that file that you could use to actually install the app, they're only allowing you to do that through their walled garden. So,
I actually got it wrong. It's about 30%
oh
iOS in
really?
Europe. Yeah. I mean, that also does include a lot of Eastern Europe too, so I'd expect more Android phones there as well because it's less, what do you call it? Prosperous, wealthy, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you can, I mean, that's just the like primary, like obvious, like, oh yeah, Apple can just ban the people who compete in what they do. Like, oh, I don't want Fitbit, everyone needs to have an Apple Watch. We don't want Spotify, everyone needs Apple Music.
What about
Even regardless,
Apple Tile? What about that one?
yeah,
We'll get to
I'll
that.
get to that. I'll get to Apple Tile.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of that, you can have secondary effects where, like, in Silicon Valley, you'll have all these companies who kind of pass employees back and forth. So, like, if some new competitor pops up, who knows? You might have someone who used to work at, say, like Twitter or something, come to Apple and be like, oh, I'm still friends with a bunch of like people who work at Twitter and this new company's here. Like, I don't want them to be there and hurt these people I used to be friends with or I'm still friends with who work there. So maybe we can find an excuse to ban them. Like, there's a lot of problems that come by Apple basically having a stranglehold on what can be on an iPhone.
Right. Right. And I understand completely from a manufacturer's point of view, like, hey, I don't want this thing I don't know running on hardware that I built. But at the same time, we got into this a little bit last time. It's the thing you own. If you want to do whatever you want with it, just know the risks. Take the risk if you want, if you're willing to do that. Your manufacturer doesn't have to support you if you get you download some virus from a third party app store. That's not
Mm-hmm.
on them. That's on you because you downloaded that thing from the third party app store. It's just
Yeah.
restricting that from even being able to happen is the issue.
Yeah. Like I said, you can have a flash message that says, hey, we have not vetted this. We don't know that it's safe. Are you sure? And you just say yes. Okay.
Right. That's a good happy medium in my opinion.
Yeah.
And speaking of happy mediums,
Speaking of Apple Tile, or
you
where were
want
you going with that?
I was gonna say Apple Tile is trying to get into the market with or the Apple I forget what do they call it? Is it the Apple Tile or the Apple
I
something?
think it's just Apple Tile.
Okay, they're getting into the market with the actual tile.
Yeah.
Apple.
I had it open
Oh,
somewhere. I
it's
lost track
AirTags.
of it.
I apologize.
Oh,
It's
AirTags.
AirTags. They're calling them AirTags. Um, and yeah, so Apple AirTags getting into the market with Tile. Um, Basically, same concept with that. And last week, Grislow was really interested in kind of knowing a little bit more about those and potentially purchasing some of those. I'm not sure how I feel about them personally, just because that makes you forced into, once again, Apple's walled garden. So,
And then I'm here to just, ooh, so many things wrong with them already. First off, Apple tax, they are more expensive than the Pro version of what Tile offers. Uh, Tile's like normal stuff is like even just their normal stuff is much much cheaper than Apple's Tile, but their Pro version is 35 versus Apple's 40 for AirTags. And then Apple doing its Apple thing as always is well, it's the usual like very anti-consumer design. They elected to not put a keychain hole anywhere in the device. So the only way to attach the device to whatever you want it attached to is to buy a rubber mount, basically. That they produce one, obviously. I'm sure people will make third party ones just out of spite because, of course, they will.
that's
And it's not, yeah, and it's not even a space argument too because already iFixit has shown you can just drill a hole in one and put a keychain through it. They've already shown this. It wasn't, oh, the technology takes up the space and we need every last inch. No, no, no.
No, they just you're good.
Yeah. I'm sure it's useful or whatever. It uses something called like ultra wide spectrum, which allows you to like, I don't know, basically like pinpoint where devices are. I don't know. I knew of someone in high school back in the day who basically was accomplishing this with like Bluetooth tags on walls, more or less,
Hmm.
to create like guidance systems to like know where people are and walk them through places. But yeah, to sum up my opinion on it, it's overpriced. It's very like anti like usable design. Again, they have a habit of that.
Yes,
And yeah, unless you feel like paying more money to them, in which case it becomes usable. Yeah,
we don't put the
I don't like.
charger in for environmental reasons now. Nope.
Yeah, no, you do it to make more money.
Right.
Shut your mouth, Tim. We know the truth, Tim.
But yeah, I completely agree. I think they're cool. I will admit, I think it's really cool what they're doing. I did read
I
a
mean, yeah, it's interesting.
I know Matt earlier in the week sent me a really good review from the somebody, I think it was from CNET, who actually used one of these on a like an actual flight, trying to basically track their bag through the airport. Um, and long story short, the guy had it set up and it was ready to go. He put it on the baggage claim, um, basically walked off of the baggage claim and then lost signal of the device.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so like
it's a signal, man. It's trying to get it through walls and over. I mean, I haven't seen the back of an airport. I imagine it's a lot of machinery and conveyor belts. Seems reasonable to assume that.
right.
So, like, yeah, I'm not surprised it lost signal that quickly.
Yeah,
And I
and
mean, that's not. I don't even think that's Apple's fault. That's just the limits of technology.
yeah, unless you have something that's pinging like a cell tower or something as
Yeah, and
soon
at
as
which point it's no longer safe to have
correct.
on a bag that you're taking on a flight. Yeah.
Correct. But yeah, and the interesting bit too was he did use that clip. He did use that like tag clip for it.
Yeah, the
And
rubber thing.
yeah, and he just kind of had it clipped on the corner of the bag and he said if this were me, I would not want to do this. Like I would want to throw it in the bag. I would want to like not have it here.
Yeah.
So,
Worried about it falling off.
right, because you don't
For
know.
like keys and stuff, it's probably a little better.
Right, you don't know how somebody's going to handle your bag. You don't like
Roughly.
yeah,
The
fair.
TSA has cracked one of my guitars before.
Oh no.
So I can
Oh.
promise you it will be rough.
Oh no. I'm sorry to hear. I didn't know that.
Oh, it was
Uh
years ago at this point.
uh definitely. But yeah, that's definitely something that's going to be interesting to see how the market's going to adopt it. If people are going to flock more towards that or if they're going to switch to something like Tile where it is cheaper and you get the same features basically.
Yeah, I think Tile goes out farther actually
Hmm.
on the distance you can track it. I don't know if Tile uses the same ultra wide spectrum or whatever. I think it's called like UDB or something,
Yeah. So, something
something
like
like
that.
that. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a bigger
Regardless,
spectrum for Bluetooth that allows.
UWB,
Okay,
UWB, ultra wideband. Duh.
not bad.
But yeah, I'm happy to just go through right now and just critique everything they announced,
Okay,
if
hey,
that's okay.
I'm just gonna let you have the floor. Feel free to run with it.
I'm gonna skip over Apple TV because I don't know anyone who uses one.
Grislow.
I've never does he? I've never met anyone who has an Apple TV.
I have an old Gen 3 that we used to use.
Yeah, I had my family had we had a Gen 1 that we used only to just cast audio throughout our house. That's it.
Yeah, that's what we use it for.
Yeah, we only it was just an old one that we hooked. I think it's a what is it, an optical cable?
Yeah, yeah, you're
The speakers that ran throughout to an amp or whatever that sent speakers throughout our house. That's the only thing it ever got used for. I don't know. It kind of seems like an overpriced 4K streaming device to me.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're still gonna get ads on the home screen, so
Yes. I mean, you get it on other ones too.
exactly.
But yeah, the one that I actually want to talk about is their new iMac
Okay, we had a good
and all
discussion
the
on
new
this
colors and
last
stuff.
time. Let's see what your
Yeah,
take on this.
I didn't get to see that one yet. I
I'm
still
not
have to
going to
go
tell
back and
you
watch
until
it.
afterwards.
Oh, that's fine. It's not going to change my opinion. There's a part of me that I do like it. To my knowledge, the M1 chip is genuinely like a cool improvement that actually is
Oh yeah, I got
put.
got an M1
Yeah, it's
right
put a
here.
lot of Apple. Yeah, to my knowledge, it's a great chip that's actually like put Apple ahead of a lot of
Yeah,
places for once.
this is an M1.
Instead of running on their old, yeah, instead
Yeah,
of running on their old Intel stuff. It's it's an actual justification for the reason they charge so much to add more RAM in and stuff like that. The price to add more memory in is still, or storage in rather, is still ridiculous. But whatever,
hmm
it's Apple. You're paying the Apple tax.
exactly.
I have concerns about the new iMac.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to see it. I haven't gotten to have my hands on it yet, but I've stopped being able to trust Apple to make what I consider good computing decisions. So I don't trust that they put a fan in this.
Oh, okay.
Even though their new chip has a much lower power draw and throws much less heat, just putting a fan in there somewhere, you can drop it extra degrees and you can make what already is a fast chip really go faster.
That's a good point. I never thought about that honestly. I just
Yeah.
saw, ooh, it's nice and thin. Like,
Yeah, I don't trust them to put a fan in it anymore. They don't do that intelligently anymore. In their 2017 MacBook Air, they put a fan in it, but they didn't put any type of like heat spreader or anything connecting to the fan, which is, if you don't know, standard operating procedure when you make a laptop that's supposed to perform.
right. Hot thing here, put fan on
Yeah,
hot thing.
yeah. You connect it with some kind of like usually a copper tube with water droplets in it to help move the heat through it. And you move the heat to the fan, and then the fan pushes the heat outside of the laptop and brings in cooler air.
Right.
Simple. I don't trust them to do that on this because they seem to. I get it. Fans can be a little annoying, but I mean, they make fairly quiet fans. It's a desktop, so it's supposed to have higher performance. It might be a good idea.
I agree. I agree. Um, it's interesting too because they are getting so thin now that
Yeah.
you're where would you even put one? I don't think they put one in there. Think I think they're just using the entire thing as a heat sink.
Yeah. If they're going to use the whole thing as a heat spreader and that's how it's set up, that'd actually be an interesting design choice. I'd be interested to see it.
Let's see
I
if
haven't
they have a
gotten to.
teardown.
I don't know if they've gotten released yet. I haven't gotten to see a look at the internals yet. Um,
Hmm.
Other parts of it, the processor, I like the M1. It seems like a genuine advancement, so that's cool. The
Yes.
screen, probably going to be great. I'm sure their mics and speakers are fine or whatever. It took them, I think people have been asking for a 1080p camera in their anything for,
Yes.
I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years now. I don't know for how long. It's been a while. People are like, why does your MacBook Pro still have 720p? Why does your Air have 480p? Like, come on, figure this out. I think this is other than maybe I think maybe the iPad Pro had a 1080p front-facing camera. I can't quite remember. It might have. But other than that, I think this is their second device or first device where they actually said, "Okay, we're going to put the 1080p camera in for, web calling and all that."
Right.
And especially during this last year where like, you know, web calling, FaceTime, and all that has taken off because of, Corona and all that. Now it's more important than ever. And they finally did it after being asked for multiple years.
Right. The other thing that I found really interesting about this too, that Grislow actually pointed out the last time we were talking about this, is the iMac chin, like the block of
Yeah, at the
basically,
bottom.
yeah, the at the bottom
That's
there.
to my knowledge, that's where their speaker array and mics are.
Okay, he says in his opinion, he says that should be smaller.
I get it. I'd have to hear what the actual audio quality is. If the audio quality isn't like shockingly good coming out of it, then yeah, shrink it because you didn't accomplish a good thing anyway. But like, yeah, it is. That is a chin.
Yeah,
That is a big chin.
right.
But there's a lot of stuff in that chin, I imagine.
Hopefully, hopefully.
I don't is do you know if the M1 in it
Oh,
is
hey, actually, I was looking on their website, and you're actually going to be surprised, I think. Look at this. They have a thing here where they're showing the speaker, and look at
fan
that.
and a heat spreader?
There's a
That
fan.
is a fan heat spreader, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hot dog, I'm impressed.
yeah, there's a fan there,
They
and
absolutely did it.
I would assume that there's probably another one right here.
Good.
I would think.
You
I
know
hope
what?
so.
I'm proud. I feel like I may have jumped the gun then. This might actually be an okay product.
I'm gonna
Uh,
be interested to see that teardown though.
yeah, I don't know if they've. Do you know if there's any material change to the M1 that's going in the laptops or not?
I don't think so. I mean, your M1 chip is your standard ARM 64 Arch. It's not.
Then it might just. Well, yeah, if it's the same like exact chip, then maybe it's higher binned, maybe it isn't. I don't know.
I I don't know if they have like different M1 model numbers. I guess.
I would say they do have better connectivity. It looks like.
Oh yeah, they got 10 gig Ethernet, but that's just dependent on the processor bandwidth. Yeah, yeah,
Ooh,
yeah. Here.
they have 4 USB and 2 Thunderbolts, which is nice. I didn't know it was 10 gig Ethernet. I just saw
Well,
Ethernet.
that's not standard. It's an upgrade,
Gotcha.
but
I mean, at least they offer the option for people who actually need it.
right. I mean, when you're
I
going
don't
to
know.
be dropping $1,300 on a computer,
Yeah,
it might as well be an option.
yeah, if this is going to be like a portal for like people who do, high capacity creative things, like
I apologize. It is not. I was looking at the older iMac. They only have gigabit Ethernet.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and it says it's through the power brick, which is also interesting.
Ooh. That means
There's a
they
new power connector whose brick houses an Ethernet port. That's interesting.
once again there's your design considerations right there.
I don't mind that at all though, because that's going to be near the wall, so you don't have this un. You only have one uncomfortable cable coming up from the wall that way.
True.
So I think that's actually a pretty elegant solution. I'll give them some credit there.
Yeah, and I mean you'll need the thing to run the computer anyway, so might as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, what if you just want to use a normal plug in the back of the thing? And I'm like, I highly doubt they have to have some sort of proprietary connector or something there.
Oh yeah, if it's passing Ethernet along for sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you.
I imagine there's no way they don't have some kind of shroud between the actual power. Well, no, if your power is coming pretty consistent from your power brick, I guess you don't need a shroud to protect
Here,
the Ethernet line.
They show some animation here.
I appreciate that. That's an actual like smart design consideration that feels well thought out and good.
Right, yeah. Here in the browsers, see they show this
Ooh,
this
that's interesting.
connector. Yeah, this is a
Oh, I thought it said 4 USB-Cs and 2 Thunderbolts. It's
there's
4 USB-Cs, 2 of which are
our
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. Yes.
That's why I was asking because I was wondering how it had so much more I/O than the iMac Pro.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
No,
I
it has the
definitely
same
get that.
I/O.
Yeah, and it's got a
4
headphone jack and 4 USB-Cs.
Yeah. Actually, I think doesn't the iMac Pro only have 2?
The iMac Pro, I think you're right. I don't know.
Also, why does this thing need magnets on the back for the power connector?
It's Apple.
It feels less secure that way to me.
Once again, it's Apple.
plugging it in normally, and it's a power connector, so it's something you do once. It's not like MagSafe where it's an everyday thing, so it was really convenient.
Right. I don't know.
Weird. Yeah, I'm curious. I want to see a full teardown. I want to see its performance versus the Mac Pro or the iMac Pro, or whatever it is. Is it just the Mac Pro?
Mac Pro, I
Whatever their new,
believe.
whatever their new high quality Mac is laptop. Because if it's, I don't know, I'm gonna be disappointed if it doesn't perform better and it has actual fans in it.
Right.
I don't know if the Pro fans or not. I just don't trust them to put fans in things. It's something I actually have to look for now.
Actually.
Yeah. Let's see, what was the other one? They've slapped the M1 and the iPad Pro.
What's your
Cool.
thoughts? People
Cool.
are saying that at that point they should put Mac OS on an iPad. On the iPad Pro.
No,
Okay.
not just because that. Well, there's two options here. They either should overhaul Mac OS so that it feels normal to have a touchscreen in Mac OS, and then they can release touchscreen iMacs, which would be really cool. But barring that, because you use touch to get around iOS and the iPad Pro, Mac OS feels like it'd be more clunky than elegant on it. But yeah, I do know there's some decent iPad Pro things that people use for like that actually take a little bit of processing power that this would be good for. You're going to be able to edit things completely in Photoshop and Adobe and all that on them too, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. iPad Pro has always felt a little awkward to me. Its place, like I guess now if they really do get everything over to ARM for their desktop applications and all that, and companies are cooperating and they're releasing everything on ARM, the iPad Pro might become really useful because you'll now have all these Adobe things and whatnot on there. You'll have, I know there's a couple like engineering drawing engines that iPad Pro has.
I've seen a lot of accessory like where you have your main engineering workstation and then you could like pull off and do some stuff on your iPad or whatever.
Yeah, I know you've watched Stuff Made Here on YouTube. I know he uses it for like some like conceptual drawings for stuff.
Yeah, like a sketchbook of some sort.
Not full CAD or anything, but like good conceptual. Like, okay, here is the theory. Now let me figure out something that actually works. But yeah,
cool.
overall, this is the least egregious like announcement ceremony they've had for me in a long time. Tile, don't think it's at all worth what it is.
The
iMac seems interesting.
Okay.
The Pro might find a place one day.
Definitely, yeah.
Might.
That's their AirTag. Yeah, their AirTag definitely will need to find its market, and if they can get that market, I mean, we'll see where it goes. But I definitely think there's better competitors out there that have done it a little longer and know a little bit more about the finding lost stuff industry. So,
and that have keychain holes.
That too.
I think that is the most glaring issue.
Right. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much to Ryan for being here. And this was a lot of fun. Hope you had a great time as well. Ryan was able to get some of his Apple opinions out, which I hope makes him feels good. Yeah, makes him a happy man. But with that, thank you so much for watching Tech Talk Nation this week. We will be back soon with another episode. Stay tuned, and thanks for watching, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you for listening to Tech Talk Nation. Tune in next week for more discussion on the latest in tech.